Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our LEO Connectivity Myth-Busting webinar. Morning. We're very, very excited today. It's such a great turnout. So thank you, everyone, for allotting an hour of your time today, this Friday. So our webinar should last within the hour. We will have the discussion for about 45 minutes, and we'll be able to give our audiences a chance to ask questions and or even share your valuable inputs on that time. So I encourage everyone to please use your chat function to ask questions as we go along, and hope that we can have that great interactive session today. So the aim of our session today is very practical, clarity, and we wanted to share with everyone what we've got, the latest information about our LEO connectivity within the maritime industry. Right, so without further ado, I would like to welcome one of our first and valued maritime distribution partners, the AST Group. We can start with a quick introduction with yourself, Mark.
Sure, Celeste. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. I'm delighted and honoured to be together with friends and colleagues in the room, but also with yourselves joining virtually. I have had a quick look at who's joined, and I do know many of you, so I hope you're very, very well today. So I've been in the satellite industry now for over 20 years. Showing my age, and I started at Inmarsat for 10 years with a variety of commercial positions, and subsequently then went to SES and worked in their strategy and mergers and acquisitions team. And I'm now at AST. I've been at AST for 13 years in various different roles, but I'm delighted to be running the Europe, Middle East and Africa region as Vice President. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Mobile Satellite Users Association, the MSUA, and if you're not already a member and you'd like to be, please let me know.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for letting us to contribute to this great maritime webinar. My name is Lukas Latoszyński. I'm working for the last 10 years with AST. I am head of the maritime networks, and also I'm a technical lead. Day to day, we're working with the maritime customers, providing all the communications on board. And on top of that, all the solutions, all the complexity, that's something that we specialize and what we love to do. So that's why being on that today webinar with OneWeb, it's something that we are very happy.
Thank you both. So with an ally with me today, one of the key people from OneWeb as well, who's contributing to the success of our solutions. There we've got Alessandro.
Hi, everyone. Great to be talking to you and to be part of this webinar. And I'm not in the room, but because it's a webinar, I can also be with you, even though I'm talking from a remote office. My name is Alessandro Cardoso. I'm at OneWeb as Director of Sales Engineering, working for OneWeb for the last 2 years. I'm also a veteran of the satellite industry. I've been with O3B networks and then with SES and with Inmarsat in the past. And I'm very happy to join in this conversation today and be with you all.
Thank you for that. So just a quick one from my side. I'm Celeste Andrina Cowley. So I'm the Director of Maritime and Energy with OneWeb. So I've been with OneWeb for just over a year, but on our time span in OneWeb is different. We've got a really, really quick time lapse here in OneWeb. However, I have been in the industry for over a decade, and I've actually personally and painfully have come across that transition of paper to digital within the ship. So I am very proud to be a part of OneWeb. I mean, almost everything that we've got here with us, like our pens, notebooks, laptops. So this has been transported at sea. And more than 90% of the international trade has been facilitated within the maritime transport. So yeah, it's really important for us to be a part of this. It's such a part of the pillar of the global economy. And of course, with similar to other industry, the maritime industry is actually going through a significant change in terms of technical advancements. So this is for the industry to have that enhance efficiency, lower the cost, and promote that sustainability within the maritime. So thanks, everyone. Let's start. Just to start with, I would like to hit and lead it with that in terms of the myth busting statements that we've come across on a daily basis when we talk to the ship owners, the distribution partners, ship managers. So we come across different topics every day, and what we wanted to do here is really give as much clearance as we can with the latest information that we can. Right, so as the first statement, we've got is OneWeb Maritime live, and is OneWeb Maritime real? So I'd like, of course, just to give you an amazing answer to that is definitely yes. So OneWeb Maritime is live. This is pretty much hot off the press. So we have completed our engineering trials. We are currently on our beta phase, which means we have got vessels lined up, ready for installation, and they will go through our beta trials, our try before you buy scheme. And yeah, so this will lead us into our commercial service pretty soon. So it's very exciting. This is such a big milestone for us. And of course, another milestone that I wanted to just put out there, we have completed our maritime launch. So that means that we have all the constellation that we need in space in order to provide that global connectivity. However, when I say global connectivity, it's not just the constellation, the satellite constellation that we need in order to provide that solution to the maritime industry. So we are also working on our ground networks, our regulatory and market access. We've also got our maritime global partners in place, ready to assist us on that. So this is really a big thing for us. When we are live now, I wanted to clarify what that means as well in terms of coverage. So coverage, we are starting with 50 degrees north. You know, all your North Sea, Greenland, Norway, the Arctic going vessels will be able to support at this time. We are very much open to provide that service. And by next month, we will have the Mediterranean open as well, crossing across to the northern parts of the US. So very exciting. It's going to be very, very busy for us. Just an important part as well that we have been live in terms of we've been providing that commercial service to remote places in Alaska. Believe it or not, 40% of Alaskans still have either very, very slow or absolutely nothing in terms of internet connectivity. So it's such a good thing that we are able to connect the community in Alaska. We are enabling national telco in Greenland and also researchers in High Canada. So yeah, we're finally open, we're live. We are working through our global, by the end of this year, we are targeting to open our global services for maritime and land enterprise as well. Okay, anything to add in there, Alessandro?
Yeah, no, as you said, Celeste, I think that this is a very exciting moment because we are launching maritime. We have been providing the OneWeb services since more than a year now and connecting, as you said, communities in Alaska and large enterprise sites in Canada, in Greenland. We have sites in the UK, and we have been doing that for over a year now. And now it's time to launch the maritime service, which is available and for the trials, as you said. And the engineering trials just finished, and we have been able to test it on vessels at sea. In the
Absolutely.
North Sea, where we did several months of testing at sea, and we can't wait now to start the commercial trials of the maritime OneWeb service.
Brilliant. Very good. So just going to our second statement here. I know this has been asked quite a lot as well. Is OneWeb's business model different to other LEO players? So here really one of our key differentiators is we are the trusted partners, and we are able to do this because we work with trusted distribution partners who's got that vast knowledge and experience working in the in-country, especially in the regulatory side, teams of support, teams of having that installation. So we are working with trusted distribution partners. It is a true B2B system where there is sustainable growth for all parties. So what does this mean? So it's really our strategy is that we do not sell directly to the mass consumers, and that many of our applications really are focused on that enterprise grade connectivity, such as the businesses and government. So another point of that as well is our SLA, service level agreement guarantees, within our committed information or the data rates that we have against our service packages. As we may or may not know that these satellite networks, actually, they are designed to be congested at some point when they reach the X amount of the users on that. So what OneWeb does is we do reserve that capacity, and we do make sure that regardless however very many vessels within that beam, that we'll be able to reserve that capacity to the end user. Another point which quite important as well is our layered security. So we commit to making sure that the end users are having that peace of mind in terms of their cybersecurity and making sure that they've got a robust and reliable connectivity on board. So I am actually going to have a pause from my side on that. I'm really intrigued. So Mark, I know you've been talking to every single day you are the face of the end customers for us. Give us some of the myths that you come across with, the most intriguing ones that you come across with.
Sure, thank you, Celeste, and great introduction. It really is exciting, actually. We've been working with OneWeb from the very beginning, and it has been a journey, as you rightly said. But this is so exciting. 2023 is the year of OneWeb. We are commercially launched in land, and we're all tremendously excited. And what I spend in particular, our team spends a lot of time on WebEx's conference calls, Teams calls with customers, talking about the fact that OneWeb is now here, and that's tremendous, and it's fantastic. So I think I've got three myths that I want to talk about. I think the first one is that there is a lot of talk in the industry and far too much noise about certain other providers of new entrant LEO constellations, and there are massive differences, significant differences in terms of what that means for customers in the maritime market for digitalisation between them and OneWeb. And you highlighted some of those, Celeste, and I use the phrase that you used, which is enterprise grade or industrial grade in terms of what OneWeb is providing. And OneWeb, the network and the service, is designed, it's built, and it's delivered through partners like AST as an enterprise grade service, first and foremost. So I think it's really important that everybody will have its place, and it isn't just the other new entrant LEOs that will be in their space, and they will have market in the sector, But I think what sets OneWeb apart is the globality and the enterprise grade solution that OneWeb is delivering through partners like AST and the value adds that we wrap around that. So there are some big differences in that market. I think coming on to just to re-emphasize, I think, Celeste, something you said is that we've got commercial service now inland 50 degrees north. That has been the case for a while. Now, this is a maritime webinar and we are in beta for maritime.
Absolutely.
To your point.
It's such a
which is
thing.
fabulous.
Yeah.
2023, the year of OneWeb. So that's very exciting. And I think we're going to be in commercial service once that beta program has completed. So in addition, you mentioned try before you buy. And I think it's important with a new service to offer the opportunity to try it before you buy it. And that's a program that we, AST, will be launching as well very, very soon. And we'll be sending details out. So please look out for those to the participants on the call. But in terms of beta, please, if you are interested in being a part of beta with AST and OneWeb, please do contact me and we'll be providing a contact email address at the end of the webinar. So the third myth that I wanted to talk about was I've been in the industry quite a long time and I often hear from customers, in particular when we're talking about the digitalisation process in the maritime industry, that satellite is difficult, complicated, expensive. Yes, it has been. And you can't argue with that. But now the level of cost effectiveness is we've never seen it before, and it is extraordinary. And it's very, very different from where it used to be. The complexity has reduced. It's much more utilitarian now. You only have to look at some of the amazing advances, not just with the OneWeb constellation, but also the direct-to-device technology that's being launched by a number of other vendors. So it is a massively exciting time. And I think to navigate all of that and the fact that there's quite a few more players now offering different types of service, AST being an agnostic provider, we're here as experts to be able to help you choose the right solution and implement it as quickly and effectively as it can be. But what I just want to take a moment, and it's a bit of a cheat, sorry, Celeste, to pay tribute to all the amazing people in the space industry, because it really is the most exciting time in space since we put people on the moon. And you only have to look around, and it's not just in the satellite communications part of the space industry, but Elon Musk yesterday launching the biggest rocket ever. And okay, it achieved base one, which was not to blow up the launch pad, but it didn't go much further than that. But it was incredible to watch. And you know, the scientists, the physicists, all the people, the commercial people that go into the space industry, and you know, we're going to be doing commercial space travel as well. So the space world, it's a privilege and an honor, as I said earlier, to be involved in it. And of course, today we're talking about digitalisation specifically.
Yeah.
And just going back to the point about satellite being difficult, is that if you look at a recent industry survey, that from June 2021 to June 2022, the amount of data transmitted over satellite communications in the maritime industry grew by well over 160%. So that's evidence that satellite really is easy, more cost effective, and being used now more than ever.
That's very good. So just picking up on that topic in terms of digitalization. So let's delve deeper into that. There are statements or myths saying that there's a lot of unknowns, which actually stagnate the progression of digitalization. So what's your thoughts on that, Lucas?
So thank you. We are seeing a truly disruptive transformation right now, what is happening, and a lot of people are seeing a satellite communication, or even as adding more technology on board, as something that is as a cost. But why do we talk about the cost? Let's talk actually about the benefits, because if you turn around this, it's what you can get out of this. There is nothing more exciting than having a happy crew. The crew welfare is extremely important. Then what about all the efficient routing for the vessels? You can avoid very certain storms. You can avoid very strong undercurrents. It will save the fuel. It will save the time. Everyone nowadays likes to know what is happening with the engine, what is happening with my cargo, where it is, what time will it be in a port. All those little things, they are all adding to the benefits. And one of the very important things is We are talking about the digitalization, about the transformation, and part of the OneWeb will allow you to do it, because now you've got at your fingers speeds of hundreds megabits per second with very low latency. You know, it's something that's incredible that now you can have sensors, you can see how the crew welfare, how all the onboard people, probably there might be less people on board the vessels and more actually people on the shore actually looking after that. So it's a reduction in the cost, it's actually getting more efficient. And one of the last thing is we've seen over the last few years actually how many autonomous small vessels are right now being operational. And AST took a number of projects in the past, and even right now with the OneWeb, we're talking about a number of projects. So something that was 3, 4, 5 years ago was just, I will dream of this.
Yes.
Now it's happening,
Absolutely.
isn't it? So it's brilliant.
I remember when we first heard the discussion of autonomous, and it's
Yeah.
You're not saying my age.
Exactly. You always thought, you know, a sci-fi movie, you know.
Absolutely.
So yes.
Yeah. So
I think, sorry, just to add to what Lukas was saying is that, so when I'm talking to customers in the maritime industry about digitalization, there are really two things that come out very, very clearly. It's a dichotomy between the need for it, the drivers for it, and the inhibitors that are preventing it being taken up as quickly and as widely as we'd like it to be, and they would like it to be. And those drivers you talked about, it, decarbonisation, the journey to net zero, the journey to net zero, so automation, regulation in relation to things like the carbon intensity indicator, but also optimization, the ability to save fuel, save costs, make more money. And I think in terms of drivers, it's really interesting. There was a survey, quite an extensive survey of the maritime industry recently in relation to the subject of digitalisation. And over 70% of respondents said that they thought that digitalisation in the maritime industry was both valuable and positive, which is great. But in that same survey, over 50% thought that it was costly and complicated, which it is at times. So I think for me, it's about starting small and knowing why you're doing it. Which of those 4 factors we talked about and the ones you talked about, Lukas, are driving you into doing it. Have a proof of concept around that particular use case. If it works, great, do more of it. And then, of course, it's about the digitalization process is a lot about people, process, and systems. As we think about systems, you've got to be connected. And the OneWeb solution, of course, is a critical part of that, being an enterprise grade connectivity solution globally, as we said. So I think the final thing would be, without that, people often talk about the digital twin, the onshore digital twin. You can't do that without robust, reliable, always there, high bandwidth, low latency communications on a vessel such as OneWeb.
Very good. So I picked up, you mentioned about crew, which is another one of the myths that we wanted to clarify here. So the statement was that ship owners are a bit hesitant or reticent to give that full communication access to the crew, with due to the growing numbers of concerns, whether it be not being able to do the jobs properly, worried about the disruption. So I'm really intrigued to hear what's your thoughts on that. But just to start off with, so it's actually just only last year, May 2022. So the seafarers have won that mandatory international law of having that mandatory internet access on board the vessels. So this is actually really in line with our ethos here in OneWeb. We wanted to make sure that it's normalized to give that gig per day to the crew, because they'd be able to do that hour of FaceTime with their loved ones, or download their favorite Netflix series, a couple of Netflix series there. But the most important thing is that it's really good to just stay connected in the world when they are really isolated on the vessel. So
exactly,
really
yes.
wanted to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, the crew welfare, I personally think it's extremely important. And we're not talking here only about a mental state of the people that, you know, this will allow you to keep up with your family, with your friends. you can video call them, you can talk to them. You know, you can play games as well. And this time, you know, having a OneWeb, when you're playing on the Xbox and, you know, and you lose the Forza game, you don't have any more excuses saying I was cut off. But
Low latency is very important.
It is very important, exactly. But to add to this, I do remember the times when, you know, I used to be a number of the vessels when we've done the installation or we talk with the suppliers, etc., what we can do as an AST. The crew used to have one phone call a week, and that was like 5 minutes and then cut off.
Oh, wow.
Then slowly used to be like, you know,
Wow.
once a week you're gonna have I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes internet, and if the web page loaded, you were lucky, you know. So those times they are changing, and I'm very happy that, you know, regulations market right now is seeing that this is not something like, oh, this is a bonus. No, this is actually it is something that everyone should be entitled to. And crew welfare with the OneWeb will allow you that access, will allow you to actually work more efficiently, but also spend your time more efficiently, because, you know, I've been myself on a platform where the internet is very slow, and it's not a really, really nice feeling. For me, I was logged in, do what to do, minimum, go home, that's it. I'm not seen as a nice environment. But also this will create a number of challenges. And some of those challenges is actually on the crew operators, on the ship management companies. Why? Because the more data you have, then how are you going to manage this? And that's where, by example, AST is very important player with the OneWeb rollout for a maritime, because we understand those issues. We've been in the market for more than 30 years. And we know that when you've got such a big amount of data available at your fingerprints, do you know actually what is happening, what the crew is doing? With our platform, you can see what traffic it is. You can see, you can block it, you can throttle this, you can do anything. And this part of the data, it's something that will actually allow you as a ship owners, as a ship management companies, to actually investigate what is important for them without actually blocking my access to the critical comms and data.
Can I?
Yeah, of
sorry,
course.
sorry, I do keep interrupting, but that's a really good point, Lukas. I think so. I'm very much a people person, so I you know, very care a lot about people and their well-being generally, and it was quite disappointing to see that there was a recent statistic that that there's a thing called the Seafarers Health, Happiness Index.
Yes.
And it started in 2015, and in Q1 last year, so about a year ago, it was at its lowest point since it was launched in 2015. I think that's really disappointing, and there were three main reasons as to why that was the case, and one of them was access to the internet. So I think there's an awful lot more we can do, and an awful lot more market opportunity as part of that in order to connect the crew. And OneWeb have recognised that in the sense that you have a crew companion rate, which is part of your overall service package, which can sit alongside but not interfere with the operational use of the link. So I think that really is an opportunity, and let's hope that the Seafarers Happiness Index, excuse me, goes up again.
That's really good. So I'm going to push Alessandro here, and I'm picking up. You're mentioning about the traffic and the worry of everyone using the data on board and everything.
Exactly.
What's your thoughts on that, Alessandro?
Yeah, I mean, to just to add to what Mark said, OneWeb enables that, because from a system perspective, we have designed the system in a way that we can put on the same terminal two different completely segregated APNs, so two different completely segregated services. So you can have the crew traffic going on one APN, and then you have the priority traffic, or the one that is needed for the operations on another APN. And those traffic types, they can stay completely separate. They can follow different routing as well at the POP. And in this way, there is absolutely no interaction between the two, and we can offer this crew companion plan that is available for the maritime offering that we provide. And on top of that, we also offer QoS, quality of service, which means that you can prioritize the traffic differently to make sure that your high valuable traffic is always goes first, and then you can apply different type of priorities for the more interactive type of applications. For example, what we are doing right now, which is video conferencing, that's one of the applications that is used the most when you do business, and you can make sure that that traffic is prioritized in a way that is always goes through. And then you can have a different quality of service, for example, for the web browsing and other type of traffic that perhaps is low priority. This is by design part of the OneWeb system and part of the offering that we provide.
And I think just to add to this, I think this is the whole thing of how AST and how OneWeb, or actually how OneWeb has designed the network. That the network was designed in a very specific way, and then having all of those things considered, like real-time traffic, emails, etc. Some of the things they can wait, some of the things they cannot wait.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we all know every single pipe or data, or it's limited. So how you can actually utilize this is very important. So I'm glad to hear that there is a separate pipes or APNs or VLANs, however you want to call this. So yes, this is a part of this next transformation which is happening right now in front of us.
Very good. I've got a follow-up myth for you guys, because you guys are the technical ones here.
We hope so.
I've got one here.
Not sure it's a compliment.
It says that with greater connectivity means greater the risk of getting hacked.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Well, clearly, as we go and we run toward digitalization, the more you digitalize, the more eggs you're putting in that digitalization basket, the more you want that those eggs are very secure and your assets are very secure. So the risk of cyber attacks is certainly something that is maybe top of the list in terms of the major risk for a business. And look, the history is full of cyber attacks that had dramatic consequences. I mean, from people, talking about credit cards that were stolen, and we are talking about millions of credit cards stolen and fraudulent purchases that were done with those two other industries. So, coming close to the industry, for example, the pipeline system in the United States, they suffered a major cyber incident a couple of years back, which created big problems because most of those systems that were automated stopped working, and therefore that created problems in the supply of gas to people, right? In the shipping industry, we probably know all about the major incident that was suffered by the biggest shipping company in the world, and where for days the traffic had to stop because of that major incident. So we were talking before about gaming, and you know about the PlayStation network that suffered an incredible incident that took the whole network down for a month, right? And which meant millions of loss of revenue
Yes.
for PlayStation, but also meant people very upset not being able to play online with their favorite games. So it's really a very important subject. And how do we tackle that at OneWeb? You mentioned before in the slide about the layered security. What does that mean? Right, what does that mean? And this is also a key differentiator of OneWeb, because we work with distribution partners. So first of all, the OneWeb network is based on the LTE architecture. What does that mean in terms of security? It means that from the user terminal, so from the terminal that is on the ship, to the POP, where the traffic is then picked up by our distribution partners. So from the user terminal through the satellite down to the gateway to the POP, all that link is completely encrypted with the LTE encryption, so AES 128, 3GPP standard encryption. So that's very secure. But then on top of that, because we work with distribution partner and we interconnect with the network of our distribution partner, they can add another layer on top of security of encryption end-to-end that can be provided by the distribution partner. And then the users on the application level, they can also have another layer of encryption by running application security. So all those levels of security are layered one on top of another, And that's thanks to the fact that OneWeb doesn't work on its own, but we work with distribution partners. So the distribution partner, in this case, for example, AST, can provide their additional layer of security.
Yes, and I think it's everything what you brought right now to that conversation is very important. But we also cannot forget some other things. It's onboard network. That's where some of the things are actually happening in the background without us knowing. So from AST, I mean, we've got our own cybersecurity team. We've got our own solution delivery team. We design, we talk with the people. There's nothing is a cookie cutter thing. We will speak how you want to manage that data. We can advise, we can do all of those. So the part of the onboard is very important. Then the whole satellite delivery network, like you said, from the CNX, so basically from the antenna up to your hub teleports, and then moving that through AST POPs. That is a very important layer of the security. And then AST, again, we've got our own firewalls, we've got our own systems, how we operate. All of the traffic which is passing through us, we know where it's coming from. It's got our public IP addresses. We are making sure this is as secure as it can be. And nowadays, really, if you look at that, we all know, the hacks are happening every single day.
Absolutely.
And I personally have been working with our customers who actually, one of the crew members, he managed to brought some kind of a device on board, connected that to the business. Everything has been locked out. And you can imagine this is not only your name could be the newspapers. You can lose not only revenue, but also a future big contracts. But it's also a very, very big problem of how to get this back up and running, especially if the vessel is in the middle of somewhere. So cybersecurity, it's something which we really need to take very, very sensibly. And OneWeb approach that, again, it's something that, you know where the traffic is coming. It's all managed by you. You've got all regulations in place and stuff. So
very interesting. I would like to have this conversation a bit longer. However, we need to give our valued attendees a chance to ask questions. I have got one last, not really a myth or anything, but this is more of a question from my side. So do you guys think that there is a one solution, connectivity solution that fits all?
No, there is not. The hybrid solution, it's something that it is and it will be, because right now we're moving, more and more people are talking about the SD-WAN, and a lot of people are saying different ideas how SD-WAN is going to work, how are we going to do. You can put the traffic prioritization, you can put a business critical void, by example, to go over a very specific medium. And not only that, there is some examples where, by example, while you're sailing, and there is a sudden loss of data, or there is you are in a blockage, those things can happen. You still need this backup comms. It's something that it is a must. It's not anymore, should I have this, or no, this is completely a must. And hybrid solution SD-WAN, it's something that should be implemented.
I think it really is a case of what's right for which use case. And we talked about cybersecurity just then. We're working with a number of engine manufacturers in the maritime industry. And what they're doing is they're coupling and integrating dedicated SATCOM solutions such that they have a private network so that they can deliver warranty terms, predictive maintenance for their engines. So the multiplicity and the multitude of connectivity that is now happening on vessels is a good thing, and that all speaks to the digitalization and the shoreside digital twin, as I was speaking about earlier. So I think if you put all these things together, they're all vital components of delivering digitalization in a very enterprise centric environment, which is what maritime typically is. I mean, there are sectors of maritime perhaps that are less so, but the key ones that we're talking about here in relation to digitalization demand that level of capability and that assuredness that the service will be there and performing in the way that, for example, the OneWeb system performs and delivers to operational and crew requirements. So I think there is a hybrid environment, and people like AST manage that and work with these energy manufacturers using our telematic software solutions. So if you'd like to talk more about that, please contact me.
Very good. So yes, on our part there, with OneWeb as well, we're going out there to become part of that ecosystem within the maritime industry. We're very excited that we are here. OneWeb will be delivering high-speed, low-latency satellite connectivity, and with that significant interest and demand that we're having now, it just means that there's a place for several players within the industry.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Alessandra, any parting words in your thoughts against that?
Yeah, and I think, look, the one thing that was said before is how exciting these times are for satellite connectivity. I've been for a while in the industry, and this is perhaps the most exciting time of the industry. And there are plenty of options, and the LEO. Everyone is talking about LEO, a LEO solution through satellite, and making that satellite connectivity suddenly become easier to access, providing much higher throughput, low latency. The changes are incredible. I do think as well, as it was said, that there is not one orbit or one frequency band that fits for all and for everything. I think that the best can be achieved by combining a LEO solution with other type of solutions and working with distribution partner like AST. That's a superpower that can be deployed, through SD-WAN or through other ways. But that capability of hybridization, it's critical eventually for the end customer. So that's I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you for that.
Right, yes.
Thank you. It's been so interesting. I wish we've got more time. However, I would like to give our valued attendees the chance to ask the questions, or provide your inputs, share your thoughts if you've got really good stories that you've experienced out there as well. We've mentioned a few topics here on crew welfare or digitalization, automation in normal CFC. Let's just going through the questions here. Please, everyone, make sure to post your questions. So quite technical one, this one, again.
I'm not going to answer.
Is there a possibility for an end user to have a static public IPs from OneWeb?
Yes, there is. So the way how OneWeb network has interconnected with AST, we've got the full management of all the traffic. All the traffic is passing through AST POPs. So what does it mean? We can assign a very specific public IP address, or we can give you a dynamic public IP address. So depending on what the customer would like to do, yes, we can. And on top of that, we can add a very specific firewall rules. So we can allow or block a very certain access if you are worried about this. So again, feel free to speak with us. We're more than welcome to answer any questions or very specific projects about that.
Okay, we have another one here. Alessandro, since you've been going through the engineering tests as well, anything to share in terms of the successful and completion phase of our engineering trials?
Yeah, maybe I can tell you a little bit more of what was done. So as we were saying in the beginning, OneWeb is operational for a while now, actually from the end of 2021, where we started operations and providing services to our fixed market segment and connecting communities in Alaska, places in Canada, Greenland. We spoke about that. And now what we did with the engineering maritime testing, this phase, which was prior to going into the beta phase that is starting now, was to try and test a new terminal type that is now available for maritime environment, and which has a stabilized platform that can be able to cope with the motion of the vessel. We have been testing the mobility as well. So before connectivity and the OneWeb service and currently is provided on the fixed segment to fixed terminal. In this case, the vessel moves, so you need to make sure that connectivity at sea is as good as connectivity on land, which is something that we successfully demonstrated and tested. The marine environment also and some specificity which are addressed by the ruggedness, so the robustness of the maritime user terminal that is available. As well, from a network standpoint, you are moving from a region to another region, so the routing as well needs to take into account that your serving POP is changing as well. So the capability of the network to readapt to that, so that you can roam from one region to another, is something else that we have tested. On the vessel environment, there are also structures on the vessel, or for example, on an oil rig. And therefore, the terminal needs to be able to operate sometimes under blockage condition, where you don't see the full line of sight of the sky. And that is something that we have also successfully tested. So what we have seen is that we can indeed deliver the same level of performance that we are delivering on land, and we can now commit to an SLA, which is part of the OneWeb service that we provide to our customers.
A critical part. Yep.
Very good. I've got one here. Perhaps I'll turn this one into yours. So how do you think it will compare this with the traditional VSAT solution?
I'm looking at you, Luca. I have an answer, but I'll let you go first. I'm always accused of talking too much.
So I think it's important to mention that the normal VSAT will still exist for a number of reasons. OneWeb, you cannot compare OneWeb to a traditional VSAT. They are two different things. That's where this hybrid is coming through. However, the VSAT communication, we know the availability, the data rates, they are limited. The capacity is very limited. We know the satellites, they are always subscribed, and you paying for the SIA and MIA, yes, you know what you're getting. In regards to the OneWeb, you've got a LEO satellite, you've got the latency, which is extremely low. This will allow you to open these new paths into the market. And all of those ones, so when we talk about the sensors, automations, cloud services, all of those ones, in reality, it's hard to do over the VSAT. When with the OneWeb, it can literally, if you think, how the next 2, 3, 5 years the vessels will be, they might be all connected to the cloud. You know where it is. You can press, and there it is all showing up. With the normal VSAT, that's not as effective, and also it's very limited bandwidth, unfortunately.
I think for me, and I don't want to dumb down the amazing technology that exists within the OneWeb network, because it is extraordinary, and we're seeing amazing speeds and reliability of service right now. We have been for quite some time, actually, and OneWeb's had a little bit of not a bad name, but it's not been as known in the industry how good it is, and it really is. And I'm saying that only because most of the WebExes that I do at AST, we have OneWeb on the roof. I do them over OneWeb, and people don't realize. I go 10 minutes into the WebEx. I say, I'm doing this over OneWeb. They go, wow, that's really good. Looks just like terrestrial connectivity. But I think for me, one of the key differentiators is, and I don't want to dumb down the technology, is simplicity. It's a global service. It's the same experience everywhere you go, whether that's land, maritime, or in the air. And I think that's a very important. The plans are straightforward and easy to understand. The focus on crew versus operational use is very clear. So I think that there is a degree of simplicity which hides all of that technical complexity, which is that it is an enterprise grade service, but it is delivered in a simplistic way. And I would say it because I work for AST, but the combination of the way OneWeb goes to market with distribution partners like AST simplifies it even further in terms of the tools that we wrap around for customers in terms of our self-service tools, but also our traffic management tools. What applications are being used, by how much, when, by which users. So I think you put all that together, and what you're doing is making a very complex thing very simple for customers. And the more it's simple, the more digitalisation we'll see happen in the maritime industry.
That's very good. Just looking at some of the questions here. Not that. Okay, so this one we've got. Do you offer any trials to customer? I just wanted to highlight that again. Do you offer any trials to customers? So this one is actually in Faroe Island. If so, would you lease the hardware for the trial? And so of course you guys are forefront in there.
Yeah, I think we're very keen to, and that's a perfect location, by the way. And if you would be interested in joining us with the beta trial, then do please. I don't know if we're sharing the email address at the moment. We are, so marketing@theastgroup.com, or if you know where to find me, then please do contact me. But we're very keen to talk to anybody that has either a beta customer or wants to get involved in the try before you buy campaign. So we do lease hardware. We have a number of different finance models, so it's very flexible in the way that we do that. I think the thing is, try it would be my advice, because to me, when I've tried it, and I have used OneWeb for quite some time now, it really does what it says on the tin. And so I would encourage you to get in touch, and we can talk about a trial. Now is the time. So very soon after beta, we'll be in commercial service launch for maritime with OneWeb, and we'll be rolling out the try before you buy program. There are no limits to it, so the more the merrier. So please do get in touch, because there's lots of flexibility. And at the early stages of the maritime's commercial service introduction, we're going to be very, very keen to support people early adopting the service. Hopefully that answers the question. And if not, please contact me.
No, I think that
Let me know.
Yes, that's really good. So I think I've got a last one here, just going back on that cybersecurity thing. There is a question that are fears over cybersecurity hindering our digitalization?
I think it's quite a deep topic. We can talk quite a lot about that. I think the most important part is it's planning what you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it. Because if you don't plan this correctly, so we all know the segregation of the networks inside the onboard. That is very important. That's the first step to understand how onboard network is going to work. Then the next step is, of course, is the satellite provider and the whole network, are they secured? Mm-hmm. And in this case, yes, we know. We've seen this. We're talking the OneWeb. And the next thing is a service provider. It's someone who actually you can pick up the phone, talk to, and say, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? And people are forgetting about all those things. You know, customer services, the first point of contact, they can guide, they can open the ticket, they can speak with someone. When we coming and someone is saying, oh, I just want internet. What internet would like, you need to understand all of the code behind, because later when something will happen or is gonna to happen, there'll be a blame game, and then there is completely too late. So it's important, all that automation and sensors. Yes, that the cloud services, they are getting bigger. Yes, they are getting smarter. So it is a number of ways of how we can approach. So please feel free to speak to AST. We've got a number of solutions in place. We're speaking with a number of partners. And if you've got an interesting project, again, I mean, we can all sit down, you know, AST, OneWeb, we can come in with a solution for you. Okay. So please feel free.
So I think we do have time for a couple more questions. I'll point this one to you, Alessandro. What is the coverage like in the Arctic region? And one of our valued guests here says they operate the vessels transiting Europe and Asia as well. So he wanted to understand within our Arctic.
We are a global connectivity provider, and actually we love polar connectivity.
Yes,
because
we do.
our satellites.
Absolutely.
Our satellites are deployed on a constellation which is operating on polar orbit. So, you know, the more you get up north, and the more the satellites they get closer together. So we can provide that connectivity, and in fact, this is the reason why we are able to provide connectivity to polar locations above 50 degrees of latitude since the end of 2021. Even when we have less satellites in the sky, because you need less satellites to be able to provide continuous coverage at the high latitude locations. And coverage is not only a matter of the satellites that you have in the sky, but is also a matter of the ground network that you deploy. Which is something that the deployment is ongoing as the satellite constellation is now completed, and we have a further launch to launch additional spare satellites in orbit. And those satellites that have been launched, they are getting to their final position in the constellation. And we are also building the ground network coverage. In polar locations, we have today active SMP. This is the way we call the gateways, the satellite network portals in Svalbard, in Greenland, in Alaska, and that's how we provide that coverage to polar locations today.
Thank you. I am going to try and push for one more really quickly. Quick answer, Alessandro. Is there a requirement for 2 terminals on board a vessel? If so, is this treated as single? Let's clarify that one. I'd like to clarify that.
Yes, so the OneWeb terminal, the maritime terminal, which is the first that we are launching now as part of the launch of the service, comes with two domes. Those domes are part of the same terminal. They operate in what we call primary mode. That's the way that we're able to mitigate the blockages, which I mentioned before as part of the peculiarities of the maritime service. But they are treated as one. And they also provide the capability to hand over between satellites when you move from one satellite to the next one, but also, as I said before, the capability of mitigating the presence of structures on board of the vessel that may hinder the line of sight from time to time.
So just to add on that as well, we do have our innovation team, and we are also working on different form factors. We're starting with a dual parabolic, as Alessandro said. However, we are coming up as well with our flat panels.
Yep.
So we are coming out with flat panels as well, following really soon after we've gone through the trial of the dual parabolic.
Exactly, and the flat panels, they are already available on land, so we are now deploying those and are part of a beta campaign. So this is also something that is ongoing with the flat panels on land, and very soon they will be available also for the maritime setups.
And just to add to that, if you'd like to see the land flat panel, do let us know, because there'll be very shortly a roadshow particularly in the UK, but we can go elsewhere as well, where we'll be demonstrating it on site with customers. So do contact us.
Very good. Yeah, before I run out of time, I would really want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, AST, Mark,
Thank you, Celeste.
Lucas, Alessandro, thank you very much. And thank you everyone who's attended our calls. For the questions that I wasn't able to go through today, our team will make sure that you've got the answers to that. And also don't hesitate to contact us in the meantime. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. It has been a pleasure.